What kind of church insures itself against child abuse? The kind that knows it's not a question of if, but when. Good morning, fellow heathens, and welcome back to Theocracy Watch, where we lift the veil on faith and the systems that protect predators, not the people. So yesterday we discussed the Diocese of Norwich in Connecticut, which agreed to pay out $31 million to survivors of clergy sexual abuse, eventually leading to Chapter 11 bankruptcy, in order to pause lawsuits and control payouts. Many of you were shocked to hear there are actual insurance companies that specialize in covering churches for sexual abuse claims. This is a common situation, y'all. So here are some examples to peruse while we dive a bit into this subject. Okay, so there is Great American Insurance Group, Brotherhood Mutual,
Really?
Church.
Brotherhood. Wow.
I know the names are ironic, y'all. I'm telling you. Church Mutual, Ministry Pacific, and there's Ecclesiastical out of the UK, just to name a few. Oh, brother, the irony, I tell you. The policies usually go names by like sexual misconduct and molestation, liability insurance, abuse and molestation coverage, and sexual misconduct liability coverage. Yay. These are standardized terms in church risk management. So if they sound clinical, it's because they are. They aren't saving souls. They're liability planning and insulating the institution from accountability.
Wow.
Take that off, put myself
crazy.
back on. Yeah. So policies like these started back in the 80s and 90s after decades of church abuse scandals came to the surface. And insurers realized that they were the ones on the hook. So instead of getting to the heart of the matter, institutions like the Catholic Diocese in Dublin were buying this kind of coverage as early as 1987. The Catholic dioceses across the U.S. aren't the only ones with this type of coverage, though. Many mainline Protestant denominations are carriers of these policies, as well as independent megachurches with legal teams. And likely churches with a paid staff will have general liability with these terms. Some churches, especially the Catholic diocese, do what is called self-insure by pooling funds together. They create a shared risk fund or captive insurance company. That means they decide how much to pay out, how long to fight survivors in court, and how much gets disclosed. And this is unconfirmed, but based on the JW legal structure and the massive real estate holdings that they have, I believe it's highly likely that they probably purchase or do the self-insure, in-house as well. And as mentioned earlier, bankruptcies can be tactical for churches. Declaring Chapter 11 pauses lawsuits and freezes new claims. It lets the church time the payouts, negotiate lower settlements, and protect their property and pensions. Got to protect the pockets. It often prevents internal documents from being released to the public. So instead of repenting, churches simply rebrand. And let's not forget the NDAs many survivors are forced into signing. So the institution walks away clean while the survivors are the ones carrying the guilt.
Yep.
If your place of worship has the same kind of coverage as a public school bus company or a nightclub,
Yikes.
it's time to stop pretending they are morally superior, y'all. Protecting kids shouldn't be part of risk management. It should be part of the business model. Protect kids at all costs.
Right.
Child abuse shouldn't be insured like a cracked window. And if this is how religious people prepare for the worst, maybe the worst isn't behind us. It's built into the fabric of their future. How can a holy place preach purity while budgeting for rape?
Yep.
Until next time, this has been Theocracy Watch. Stay curious.
Wow. That is, and if they spent the time and effort and the money just prevention and awareness, then oh my goodness. And yet it's just an insurance.
Instead, they go right to the Band-Aid. How do we protect ourselves?
Yes.
Not how do we stop it? How do we get to the heart of the problem?
Not how do we protect the children,
Right. Oh,
That's
right.
not even No. I mean, I understand that some of the insurance will go to survivors to, for their healing process and whatnot. But again, if you could prevent it, isn't that the key?
Oh, right. Right. And then any survivors have to fight tooth and nail to get anything. They have to go through the humiliation of all the
Right.
suing them and the police, just everything they have to go through. And then to have to fight to be
The
compensated.
church is pulling those strings, especially
Yep.
when they're the ones pulling the money. They determine when and where and how. And just pulling them along breaks my heart.
And the overall awareness about how everybody knows, so much so that groups of churches will get together and pull together a fund to cover that. And then these same bitches will be out there holding signs talking about how gay people or trans people or atheists, we're all sinners, we're miscreants, we're sexual deviants.
Right.
And yet they actually buy insurance. They have to buy insurance.
That's insane.
It's crazy. But hey, it's no big surprise from Christians, with their projection. What do they call it? If they're making every accusation
Is a confession.
is a confession.
Yes.
Yeah. So, goodness gracious. I don't know if you know this or not, but I host a Daily Atheist morning show here on YouTube. I have a couple of other co-hosts with me, Darante Lamar and Rion Kultastic, and we have a lot of fun. When we first started hanging out, he would say, something like, yeah, we're kind of like Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
Yeah. I was like, you're right. You make the perfect Gene Wilder to my Richard Pryor. and I just didn't know if I didn't know if he was getting it or not. Every time we would do something like that, I was like, man, me and you're like chess pieces. We're like, I'm the black pieces and you're the white pieces. And everybody would just ignore it and move on. I'm like, come on, people, I'm working here. I'm working here. Live Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Christians, did you know Jesus was not sacrificed for your sins? Click over here to see my video on why Jesus was not sacrificed for your sins. And check out my buddy Durante's latest video down here. Darante Lamar, he's great. Check out his video. And Rion Kultastic down here. Check out Ryan's video. She's wonderful. Sin safely, my friends. Take care.